Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is a second part of Inventory Management Dashboard project using Power BI. In this video, we'll focus on creating dashboard visualizations, creating a page navigator, and creating filters for an interactive dashboard. And here's a quick look at what the dashboard we'll be creating will look like. Interesting, isn't it? Make sure you've watched the first part of the video, as in the previous part we covered canvas preparation, data cleaning, and DAX measures. If you've already watched the first part, let's jump straight into Power BI. The first visualization we'll create is a KPI. First, we need to create a white background by going to the Insert tab, then Insert Shape, and then selecting the rounded rectangle shape. After that, change the size to 160 for the height and 1480 for the width. Place it at the top of the canvas like this. We need to change the color to white and turn off the border. Now we've created the background for our KPI. Now we'll create the first KPI, which is total stock quantity. To create a KPI, select Card Visualization, then select Total Stock Quantity for the data. After that, we can set the size to 130 by 210 px. Then go to Callout Values, select Series Total Stock Quantity, and here we'll set the font size to 28. Next, in the Display Units option, select None and set the spacing between the label and the value to 6px. Don't forget to turn off the background and border. Now our total stock quantity KPI will look like this. However, the value here doesn't have a comma as a thousand separator. This can sometimes be difficult to read. To add a comma, go to the Data panel, select the Total Stock Quantity measure, then go to the Measures Tools tab and select this icon to display the comma as a thousand separator. Okay, the data now looks better. Next, we'll add an icon. You can download the icon from the link in the description or comments section. Go to Insert Image and select the icon we want to use. Once imported successfully, go to the Format panel, turn off Lock Aspect Ratio, and change the size to 64 by 64 px. After that, we'll place the icon to the left of the card visualization we created, like this. We can adjust its position, and I'll set it like this. All right, this is the first KPI we've created. Next, we'll create the second KPI, Total Stock Value. We can select the card visualization again, then select Total Stock Value for the data. The problem here is the same as before, where the number format is difficult to read. To change this, go to the Data panel, select the Total Stock Value measure, then go to the Measures Tools tab and select this icon to display a comma as a thousandths separator. Here, I'll set the number of decimal places to 0 to remove decimal places. After that, we can set the size to 130 by 210 px. Then turn off the background. Next, go to the callout values, select the series total stock value, and here we'll set the font size to 28. Next, in the display unit option, select the auto and set the spacing between the label and the value to 6px. Don't forget to turn off the background and border. After that, we'll add an icon. Go to Insert Image and select the icon we want to use. Once the import is successful, we can go to the Format panel, turn up the lock aspect ratio, and change the size to 64 by 64px. After that, we'll place the icon to the left of the card visualization, just as we created previously. Okay, we've created two KPIs using the card visualization. Next, you can create the product below reorder level and inventory turnover rate KPIs in the same way as before. I'll speed up this video to save time so you can practice creating them yourself. Okay, so we've successfully created 4 KPIs using card visualization. However, we still need to adjust these KPIs slightly to ensure consistent spacing. First, we need to group the icon and card visualization for each KPI. To do this, select the icon and card visualization, right-click, and select the Group option. This will automatically create a single object for the icon and card visualization. Let's do the same for the other KPIs. After grouping each KPI, select all of them go to the Format tab, click Align, and select Distribute horizontally. This will automatically adjust the spacing between the KPIs for a more consistent fit. Okay, the final step is to add a dividing line to each KPI. Go to the Enter tab, select Shape, and then select Line. Once we've successfully added the line, we need to adjust its rotation in the Format panel. Select the rotation option, and set the rotation to 90%. Then we adjust the size like this. And position it midway between the first and second KPIs. After that, we go to the Format panel, select Shape Style, turn off the Fill option, and change the border color to 20% darker. After that, we copy and paste the separator line and position it between the other KPIs. Select all the separator lines, then select Format tab, select the line, and select Distribute Horizontally for consistent spacing between the separator lines.
All right, we've created 4 beautiful KPIs using card visualization. Easy, wasn't it? Now let's move on to creating the next visualization, a line chart to display the trend of stock quantity changes from month to month. First, I created the background to make this visual look neat. I went to Insert and selected a rounded rectangle. Then I went to the Format panel and set the size to 400 by 800. I rounded the corners 10%, changed the color to white, and turned off the border for a cleaner look. Then I adjusted the shape's position here. After that, I added the line chart visualization above the background. Then I started filling in the data. For the x-axis, I entered the month from date received. And for the y-axis, I entered the total stock quantity and reorder level. I set the size to 340 by 740 and turned off the chart background itself. We can then place the line chart above the background shape we created earlier. Next, we click on the line chart and go to the Format panel to adjust the visual. I changed the title of this visual to Total Stock by Month and set the font size to 18. I disabled the x-axis and y-axis titles for a more minimalist appearance. And for the display unit on the y-axis, I selected None, so the numbers remain displayed in full. For the legend, I disabled the title to avoid cluttering the display. Then I adjusted the lines one by one. I created a solid line for total stock quantity, round joints, a width of 3, and smooth interpolation with a smooth monotone type in the color of 10666. Meanwhile, for the reorder level, I changed it to a dashed line with a smooth monotones color and gave it the color FEBC11. Finally, you can activate area shading. Here, I enabled area shading only for total stock quantity and changed its transparency to 85 for a softer look. For the reorder level, I disabled the Show for this series option because we don't need shading on the reorder line. And that's it. The monthly stock trend line chart now looks clear, clean, and professional. This will provide excellent insights into stock movements over time. Next, we'll create a bar chart to display total stock by category. Just like before, here we'll create the background first. Go to the Insert tab, select Shape, then create a rounded rectangle shape. In the Format panel, change the size to 400 for the height and 650 for the width. After that, select the Shape Style option and change the rounded corners to 10%. Next, change the color to white and disable the border. Next, position the shape background to the right of our canvas. Once successful, go to the Build panel and select Clustered Column Chart. For the x-axis, fill in the data with the category column. And for the y-axis, fill in the total stock quantity measure and the reorder level measure. Once finished, go back to the Format panel and change the size to 340 for the height and 620 for the width. Don't forget to disable the background. Then position the bar chart above the shape background we created earlier. Okay, we'll make a few adjustments to this visual. In the Format panel, select the title and change the chart title to Total Stock Quantity by Category. And change the font size to 18px. Next, select the x-axis option and turn off the title. Then, on the y-axis, turn off the title. For the values, select None in the Display Unit option. After that, we can close the dropdown. Next, go to the Legend section and, as before, turn off the title for a better display. Next, we need to adjust the bar chart color by going to the Column option, selecting the Total Stock Quantity series, and changing the color to 1006665. Next, select the Reorder Level series and change the color to FEBC11. Okay, we've successfully created a bar chart of total stock quantity by category. However, we notice that the spacing between the bars is too close. We'll adjust it so that the bars have more space. To do this, go to Column Options, select Apply Settings to All Series, then go to Layout and change the space between categories to 40%. Okay, our bar chart now looks clearer and more minimalistic.
All right, the next chart we'll create is a donut chart that displays total stock quantity based on stock status. Here, the steps are the same as before. We create the background first by going to the Insert tab, then Insert Shapes, and selecting the rounded rectangle shape. Go to the Format panel, change the size to 360 for the height and 560 for the width. Then, select the Shape Style option and change the rounded corners to 10%. Change the color to white and select Turn off the border. Place the background shape at the bottom left of our canvas like this. Okay, next, go to the Build panel and select Donut Chart. For the legend, we'll select the Status column. Then, for the values, we'll select Total Stock Quantity Measures. Once successful, go to the Format panel and change the chart size to 330 for the height and 490 for the width. Turn off the background and place the chart above the background shape we created earlier. After that, we return to the Format panel, select the Title option, and change the font size to 18px. For the legend, select Turn Off Legend. Now, we'll change the color of the slices one by one. Click the Slices option. For the active status, I'll use the color code 106665. For the discontinued status, I'll use the color code F48269. And for the back-ordered status, I'll use the color code FEBC11. For the spacing, I'll change it to 65% for a more minimalist look. After that, we'll adjust the labels by going to Detail Labels, selecting the position to Outside, and for the label content, selecting Category with % of total. We'll increase the font size to 14px. We'll leave the display unit set to Auto. We can adjust the rotation according to our needs, but here I'll set it to 200%. Okay, we've successfully created a donut chart to display total stock quantity based on stock status. Next, the final visual we'll create is a table. This table will display the stock level status, explaining whether the product is at a safe stock level or needs reordering. Just like before, we'll first create a background shape by going to the Insert tab, selecting Insert Shape, then selecting a rounded rectangle. We'll change the size to 360 for the height and 880 for the width. The rounded corners to 10%, the color to white, and turn off the border. Next, in the Build panel, select Table, then for the data, we'll add columns for product name and category. We'll also add total stock quantity measures, reorder level measures, and stock level status measures. After we've added all the necessary data, we'll go to the Format panel, change the table size to 310 for the height and 810 for the width. Then we'll turn off the background. We'll place the table above the background shape we created earlier. In the Format panel, select the Title option and name it Stock Level Status. Change the font size to 18px, scroll down to Spacing option, and then change to 10px for the space between the label and the title. Okay, let's close the title dropdown. Then for the Style Preset option, select the Minimal Style. And then we'll change the value's font size to 14px. We'll also change the column headers font size to 14px. We'll also disable text warp. Next, go to Totals and disable Total Values. We'll adjust the header size for each column like this to make the table more visible. Okay, and finally, we see the table we created clearly showing all the data. The next step is that we will create a page navigator and slicer panel.
First, we'll insert a logo by inserting an image, and selecting the logo we'll place on the dashboard. Go to the Format panel. Open the Size and Style options. Turn off the Lock Aspect Ratio, and change the logo size to 200 for the height and 300 for the width. We'll place it in the top left corner of our canvas like this. Next, to create a page navigator, we need several pages. Let's assume we'll create an overview page. Then add a sales performance page. Then a supplier analysis page. And then a product lifecycle page. Let's assume we have 4 pages on this dashboard, and we'll create a page navigator on the first page, which is the overview page. The first step is to go to the Insert tab, then Insert Buttons, then Navigator, and select Page Navigator. The Page Navigator will look like this. Here, we'll edit it through the Format panel. First, change the size to 320 for the height and 180 for the width. After that, go to the Grid Layout option and select the vertical orientation. After that, we need to go to the Style options. We'll leave the state at its default and change the font size to 14px. Scroll down and turn off the color fill and border. Scroll up again and change the font color to white. Next, we'll select the state as hover and change the font size to 16px. Then we'll change the state back to selected and change the font size to 18px. The page navigator will look like this, and we'll center it like this. Don't forget to set the alignment in the Format panel. We'll set the state to default and the horizontal alignment to left. Okay, if we hover over the page navigator, it will look like this. We can adjust its position, and here we'll add an icon to each of our pages. To do this, go to the Insert tab, then Insert Image. Select the icon you want to use. I'll use this icon for the overview page. Once successful, adjust the size to the Format panel, turn off the Lock Aspect Ratio, and then change the size to 44 by 44px, and then place the icon to the left of our page navigator. Repeat the step until all pages have icons in the left. Okay, the final appearance of our page navigator should look like this.
The next step is to create a slicer. The first slicer we'll create is a quarterly slicer, where we can select data displayed on the dashboard only within the Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4 range. Okay, first we'll insert a shape via the Insert tab, then select the rounded rectangle shape. In the Format panel, select the Size and Style option and set the height to 60 and the width to 270. After that, open the Shape Style option and change the color to F48269. We can arrange the position like this, and don't forget to turn off the border. After that, go to the Build panel and select the Slicer button. Then, in the Field section, we'll add the quarterly data from the Date Received column. If successful, go to the Format panel and change the slicer size to 90 and the width to 270. And don't forget to turn off the background. Next, we need to change the layout. Open the Layout options and change the number of columns shown from 3 to 4. This way, the slicer will only have one row like this. We'll place the slicer above the background shape we created earlier. We still need to make some adjustments here. Go back to the Format panel, open the button options, and turn off the fill color and border. This will make the slicer transparent. Next, open the Callout Values option, scroll down, and change the text color to white. Then, go back up and change the state to selected. Then, change the text color to 10666Y. Here, we also need to change the title font color. Open the Title options, change the font color, and choose white. Okay, our slicer looks good now. We can test it by clicking on it. The currently selected slicer will change its font color to green. The next final touch for this slicer is to add a separator line between the slicer values. To create one, select Insert Shape and select Line Shape. Then, in the Format panel, change the rotation to 90 degrees. Open the Shape Style option and turn off the fill color. Change the border color to white with a 10% darker color. After that, adjust the size and position like this. Copy and paste the separator line and place it between the other slicer values. Okay, let's try it here. Voila, the slicer we just created works perfectly. Okay, the next slicer we'll create is a drop-down slicer to filter data by month. Go to the Build panel, select the slicer, and add the month data from the Date Received column. Next, go to the Format panel, open the Size and Style option, and change the height to 70 and the width to 280. Don't forget to turn off the background. Close the Size and Style drop-down menu again. Then, open the Slicer Settings option. For the Style option, select Drop-down. Okay, next, open the Slicer Header option and change the font color to white. We also changed the value font color to white and the background color to 106665. Okay, the drop-down slicer will look like this. When we try it, we can see that the line chart for total stock by month only displays 1 point, because we just filtered by month, and the line chart only displays 1 month. Here, I want the line chart to still display the month-to-month trend, even though we filtered by month. We can do this by editing the interactions. To do this, select the drop-down slicer we created, then go to the Format tab, and select the Edit Interactions menu. There's a disable icon at the top right of the line chart, which we can activate so the line chart isn't affected by changing the monthly filters. Okay, we can click the Edit Interactions menu again to exit the interaction editing process. We can try it again here. And voila, as we expected, the line chart still displays the month-to-month trend, even though we've sliced by month across all the visualization in this pages. We can adjust its position by spacing it out from other slicers. To create a second drop-down slicer, we can simply copy and paste it. Right-click and select Copy Visual. Hover the cursor over an empty area, right-click again and select Paste. A second drop-down slicer will appear here. We'll place it below the previous slicer. Here, we just need to change the data by going to the Build panel. In the Data field, we can change it to Product Name, as I want to filter by product. Okay, once we've successfully changed the data, we can use the filter directly without having to start editing again. It really saves time, doesn't it? The final step. If we have a URL and want to include it on the dashboard, or perhaps a social media name, we can add it using a text box. For example, here I want to add the URL www.groceryshop.com. We can go to the Insert tab, then select Text Box. Then in the Format panel, I'll edit the size to 45 for the height and 300 for the width and turn off the background. Okay, we can add the text here. For example, I'll add the text www.groceryshop.com. Then we'll block the text like this, change the font size to 14px, and choose white for the font color. We'll place a text box in the bottom left corner of our canvas. And don't forget to set its alignment to center. Okay, the final step is to adjust its position so that it aligns with the other elements. All right, we've successfully created a one-page inventory management dashboard using Power BI. So far, we've prepared the canvas, cleaned the data, created the DAX, created the visualizations, and created the page navigator and slicer pane, making our dashboard more interactive and user-friendly. Great job, we've made it. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other project ideas, please contact me directly in the comment section. Please like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more exciting Power BI content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.